Birth control is a wonderful advancement, both medically, economically, and socially. It gives women the right to choose when to start a family and when not to. That is when she's financially ready and mentally ready. However, that simple right is only included for those who can pay for it. And the ones who need it desperately are unable to pay for that right. However, not everyone is willing to pay for someone else's birth control. Whether that form of birth control can be a condom or an implant that can cost several $100s. So raise your hand if you want to pay for someone else to have free birth control when you yourself may not be on it. As a recent high school graduate and freshman in college, one of the biggest realities that have hit me is seeing my former classmates become pregnant and unable to go to college or unable to keep a job. Along with that, as an instructional associate at an elementary school, on a daily basis, I work with children from foster homes and children from poverty-stricken homes. And out of ignorance, I always wondered why they didn't get on birth control in the first place, or why they didn't stop after the 6th or 7th child. But upon researching the expenses of birth control, I began to realize how expensive it all really is. It's an inconvenience, it's expense, and it causes a burden on society through unwanted pregnancies. Women have to drop out, whether that be high school or college or a job, or worse yet, they have to go to extremes such as getting an abortion, which could be a health burden, or it'd be too expensive for them, or they give the child up to foster care. It's a big problem with a simple solution of making birth control free for all women, so that way it's a right that all women can have. Specifically, women who deal with unintended pregnancies are women of high-risk groups. As concluded by the research of New England Journal of Medicine, unwanted pregnancies will affect 2.8 million women this year. The majority of these women will just be under poverty level or considered to be in poverty. Many admitted they were not on birth control or had no access to use it. Also among these high-risk groups, are considered to be women ages 18 to 24 and are of poor and low-income levels. When dealing with an unwanted pregnancy, again, they would have to either drop out of high school or college, or take the extreme measures of having to get an abortion, or worse yet, having to give the child up. It was revealed by the Guttmaker Institute that 55% of women aged 18 through 34 have struggled with or could not afford birth control. A statement by a researcher named Somfield of the Guttmaker Institute said that the ability to delay and space childbearing is crucial to women's social and economic advancement. Women's ability to obtain and effectively use contraceptives has a positive impact on their education and workforce participation, as well as subsequent outcomes related to income, family stability, mental health and happiness, and children's well-being. These are not women with degrees or from middle-class families that struggle with getting birth control. These are women who already struggle or are trying to pull themselves out of poverty, with either working their way up in a job or trying to receive an education, and by dealing with an unwanted pregnancy, that can set them all back. It's not another government handout. It's a benefit both to society and to those who desperately need it. It is important to realize that it is a health crisis, especially if there are other children in the family. It puts a strain on them by having to take care of an unintended pregnancy, and then the female has stress on her, and the baby does too. And it does become a health crisis. By providing free birth control, the trajectory of these women's lives can be changed for the better. One example is a choice project. It is a 4-year study that was done by 9,200 women and teenagers in the St. Louis area. Its goal was to make birth control for free and to provide information information about all the different types of birth control. Next slide. The results, it reduced unwanted pregnancy and teen pregnancy and reduced the abortion rates by more than half the average of that area. Next slide. It also proved that 51% of women were able to keep their jobs and to stay in school and to stay in school. 56% of women said that they had more control over their lives with having free birth control provided to them. Next slide. Now, the monetary cost of this epidemic, it lies solely on society. 21 billion in 2010 were society had to pay for these unwanted pregnancies. That was 14.6 billion in federal expenses, 6.4 billion in state. Texas spent the most at 2.9 billion. Cali, 1.8 billion, New York, 1.5 billion, and Florida, 1.3 billion. Most of these were considered to be populous states. Next slide. So for those of you who are not for free birth control, you're right, it is not your responsibility. However, it's not your responsibility to put the food on the table that food stamps and WIC programs also buy, but you still pay for it, just like you paid for the cost of an unwanted pregnancy. And you're paying in the billions for that. You're not paying just for some family to get free food. You're paying so that child doesn't go hungry. Free birth control, in contrast to paying for an unwanted pregnancy, is logically cheaper and pays more in the long run. So I ask you this, do you want to be part of a responsible community that invests in reducing the number of children in foster homes, drops the abortion rates, and empowers women to have a right to choose when they want a family and when they do not? If you're ready to be part of this responsible, innovating community, please support free birth control by signing my petition. Thank you.